PFR Standard 1 Hazard Assessment. To comply with PFR Standard 1, a flood hazard assessment should be undertaken to understand how flooding might threaten a property. The assessment should include the following: the likelihood of flooding in the property location and surrounding areas, the nature of the flooding that potentially could occur, the likely frequency of flood events for the location, including the potential for increased frequency due to climate change and/or urban development, the susceptibility of the property and its buildings to flooding given its surroundings, design, structure, materials used, condition, and adaptations. Identifying the flood hazard to a property is critical in the development of PFR measures. Conducting a flood hazard assessment can be a detailed and intricate process, often requiring specialized skills to interpret information presented within flood maps or other relevant sources. Now, the aim is that PFR Standard 1 shall deliver a property-level flood risk assessment which clearly summarizes the available hazard information to determine the likelihood and severity of flooding from different sources. This information will be used to inform the selection and design of PFR measures. So the requirements are that a survey of the flood risk to the property should be carried out. The scale and detail of the survey shall be proportionate to the perceived level of risk and the potential size of the project. Surveys shall be extended should a greater complexity of flood risk become apparent during the survey. Secondly, the site of the property shall be assessed for the likelihood of flooding based on a source, pathway, receptor approach for all potential sources and range of probabilities of flooding. The potential sources of flooding shall be determined using appropriate methods of hazard identification. This shall be accompanied by an assessment of flood frequency as well as depth and duration for all sources at a range of return periods. The property flood risk assessment shall take account of relevant flood risk information from local authorities, utilities, and other environment agencies. It shall take account of additional flood risk information from other relevant sources, including the property owners. The potential routes of floodwater pathways to the building and structures within the property should be identified, and the pathways for flooding from each source to the property and likely speed of onset shall be identified, including measures that currently exist or are planned for controlling that pathway at the property, whether it's community or catchment scale, and flood defence works. This analysis shall include all relevant structures near to the property.